Sup and welcome to the Run In Wrestling podcast. Before we get into it, make sure you're checking us out on all of the socials. That's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, the iTunes app where you can get all the best podcasts from us if you just want the audio version, or on YouTube where you can watch as well. Make sure you're checking us all out on there before we get into it. Now this week we're bringing you live from the Run In Studios in Kent. I am Ryan and I'm very excited to bring to you guys a very special sort of show. We're trying out new things, and we're going to bring you right now our first episode of DDT Chat. It's going to be called DDT Chat because DDT is a wrestling move, and it's also going to be because DDT can also stand for discussion, debate, together, and that's kind of what we want to do on this on these episodes. Is we want to invite people on, whether they're you guys from the Twitter community or Facebook community or Instagram community or YouTube community or the podcasting community, to come on and either discuss or debate with us. But in the end, we're all wrestling fans. We're all together. We all hate Roman Reigns. No, I'm only joking. I'm waiting for Roman Reigns fans to really get in on me. But sorry, not a big fan of if he's going to headline WrestleMania. Sorry. Anyways, a happy Rusev Day to everyone. As I said, make sure you're liking, sharing, subscribing on all the social medias before we do get into it. I'm very excited to bring you this episode of DDT Chat. One thing that I am going to ask all of my guests when they come on, we've got 2 guests this week. I'm hoping in future weeks that we can ramp it up to 3, depending on how this one goes and how the next one's couple of goes. But yeah, I've got a question that I'm asking all of my guests that come on, sort of one of my opinions, and they're asking me questions, e.g. discussions or debates as well. And my one that I'm asking, and it's one that I want to know from you guys right at the end. I want you to listen to what we have to say and then let us know your thoughts, because it would be nice to get other people's perspective. That's why always on Twitter I'm always asking questions. That's why I'm always wanting to know what other people think, and you can see it on our Twitter. It's at Run In Wrestling. Go check it out. Go answer some of the questions I put up pretty much daily on there. But yeah, one of the questions I'm asking my guests on the podcast today is, are we living in a grey era? And by this I mean superstars seem as though they're not heel and they're not face. I'll explain more into the podcast. You'll find out a lot more. But let's get straight into it. Let's go and speak to guest number 1. So, guest number 1, reveal yourself.
Hello guys, I'm Ben. I'm from the Roll Up Report on Twitter, and you can find me at rollup_report.
And so I'm going to try and ask each guest sort of the same kind of questions. But let's just start off with the standard. Let's to get to know my guest, let's have the standard. Favourite WWE, favourite non-WWE wrestler?
Favourite non-WWE wrestler is Zack Sabre Jr., mainly because I'm from the Isle of Sheppey myself. He's my hometown boy. It's hard to not get behind your hometown boy. Favourite WWE wrestler at the moment, I'm really, really digging Elias. Mainly that's
Nice.
Based on his character. But, as for technical wrestler, probably Johnny Gargano.
Well, speaking about technical wrestlers, in-ring ability and their characters, let's get straight into it and let's have your question on DDT Chat.
My question for you is, are people now more invested in a wrestler's in-ring ability rather than their character? It's a strange one, isn't it?
It's a difficult one, because it's especially if you're someone with a lot of character in the WWE, it sells more, because WWE is very more storyline based, and it's very much if you can get over with a crowd, whereas if you're talking New Japan, it is kind of technical, more technical wrestling with a bit more of drama, whereas I think Ring of Honor is sort of that line in the middle where you do have sort of like the Young Bucks and people like that who have character outside of the ring, and obviously they do, being the elite, but they're also fantastic in-ring wrestlers. But if we're going to talk on a WWE front, I am probably going to say their character.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you.
I think no matter what, in the WWE, I think you could be the David Beckham, the Cristiano Ronaldo of WWE in comparison to soccer. Sorry to our American listeners. The Tom Brady, then, I guess, of WWE. But if you are boring, the fans can't get behind you.
I mean, you look at Brock Lesnar in a way, you know.
Yeah.
He's gone off the boil a lot due to having, a lack of character, having to rely on Heyman so much. But in ring, what he does is brilliant. Even though he has got a very restricted moveset, the way he executes his moves and with the intensity he does his moves, he's brilliant. But, lack of character means he's gone off the boil. And we're probably going to see a title change at WrestleMania. You've got to look as well at Elias and Strowman. They're heavily character-based. Are we ever going to see Elias or Strowman leave the WWE and go to New Japan or Ring of Honor and do as well there?
You couldn't imagine. I couldn't ever imagine them in anywhere else apart from WWE.
I mean, a part of me still thinks that Elias has a lot of work to do in ring. How often do we see him come out and cut a promo and then the match, never actually happens or gets cut short? We've seen a lot of gimmick matches and, don't get me wrong, his character is brilliant, but in-ring ability, not so much. And it's the same with Strowman. I love Strowman as well, really behind him at the moment, but his character is head and shoulders above his in-ring ability. And, they're having to do so many sort of like backstage segments where he, pulls a truck or pushes a truck over or, pulls stuff down to try and sort of make him out to be this brilliant wrestler.
Okay, so let's go the other way. So let's say someone or a couple of people with great in-ring ability, but their character not as developed. And there's one name for me at the moment, if you had said this before the Royal Rumble, and it would have probably been Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah.
Just because they really didn't, or hadn't at that point, developed his character on the main roster up until sort of what we've seen recently.
Yeah, it was a feeling for me as though they'd sort of missed an opportunity with him before the Royal Rumble because, we were getting great matches, but the character wasn't there and there was nothing to be invested in. It was like, okay, it was a great match, but, what is there for me to care about in this match? That's what WWE is heavily based on. It's like having something to care about and a match that, you want the outcome to go one way or the other because of the storyline and the way you're invested in it. But against Rusev he showed that, again, in-ring, incredible, but there wasn't much character from him in that sense. But then you've got Rusev on the other hand, whose character at the moment is, it's the most over character in the WWE. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. And his in-ring ability, the match against Nakamura was brilliant. So you can go with the best.
Completely agree, and I'm also going to throw another name out for someone who has both, or has proved over his many years in WWE at both, and people are probably going to switch off after this, so please don't, but John Cena.
Yes. Yeah,
unbelievable character, has had a 5-star match with CM Punk.
He's going down the road of Lesnar, though, in terms of going off the boil, limited moveset. What more can they do with him? Personally, where are you on the whole sort of match with Undertaker?
If this was a couple of years ago, if this would have been... if this was last year, the match after Brock Lesnar beat him, I would have been fine. But this year, I'm not fine because Undertaker looked like he struggled last year, and he's only got a year older now. So, and I can't think of him having hip surgery or anything like that to make him, more stronger, a stronger base and everything. Yeah. So, I would rather it didn't happen.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. And mine's more of a selfish reason. Like, obviously, I was at WrestleMania last year. So, to have seen The Undertaker's last match, I'd clutch at that. Like, it's something that you'd love to be able to say, I was there for The Undertaker's last match. But I don't want to see him come back. It's sort of like Old Yeller, like, okay, just, let's have done with it now. We keep bringing him out, and it's just getting worse and worse. Like, it was really painful last year watching him against Roman Reigns. It was.
It was painful to watch from home as well, and it was just one of those. It was one of those ones that I just kind of thought, at the end when he left the hat, gloves and robe or coat in the ring, went down to the ramp, and there was obviously the trap floor that brought him down, and he just lowered himself down. I thought, that's it. That's a perfect send-off, and it makes Roman Reigns look strong. And then on the next night on Raw, Roman Reigns just came out, stood there for about 10 minutes and said, "This is my yard now." And I thought, you know what? That was brilliant booking. Yeah. I'm fine with that. And then when they started saying, oh, he's going to come back Raw 25, I thought, okay, he can just do like a bit on Raw 25. That's fine. Doesn't have to have a match. And I thought, what he said... And I just thought, okay, well, that's just the Undertaker's sort of speech. And then afterwards, when they started teasing more about it, I'm just kind of like, oh, no, please don't.
Yeah. I mean, for me, his speech didn't really make sense at Raw 25. You know, what? It didn't really lead to anything.
Yeah, that's what I kind of thought. It was more like a mystical thing, more like an Undertaker thing. And then I just kind of thought, oh, okay, he spoke. He's come out. I mean, he was part of Raw over the past 25 years, so...
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, for me, going forward, I mean, just want to make a quick point. With the trapdoor at Mania last year, that just shows, if he can't walk a full ramp, that just shows what kind of shape he's in, and that he shouldn't be coming back. But, having laid the hat, gloves, and coat down in the ring, if he's not going to retire, then retire that character, come back as the American Badass, and... go into the Hall of Fame that way. So his Hall of Fame speech can be, who he is, Mark Calloway, the man.
Yeah. There's also one point that I heard from other podcasts. Not that there are any other podcasts out there, just this one. Is that someone said that he should try and come out not as the American Badass and not as the Undertaker, but kind of a mix. As though he's kind of transitioning back to Mark Calloway and just come out and just say, look, you've made it personal. I'm not going to be Undertaker. I'm not going to be... Or he doesn't have to say I'm not going to be Undertaker. But in theory, he's going to basically be like, I'm not going to be the Undertaker. I'm not going to be the American Badass, but I'm just still going to kick your ass. And it's just kind of like... Yeah, that'd be quite good, actually.
Yeah.
Because then, at least then, as you said, when he has his Hall of Fame speech, he can be Mark Calloway.
Yeah, and that's what we want, really, don't we? We want that Hall of Fame speech to be, it's what everyone's looking forward to. At the end of the day, I cannot wait to hear what he's got to say going into the Hall of Fame.
Same. I think he's going to have some great stories, and I look forward to whoever is inducted him.
Yeah. Who do you reckon it will be?
Don't know. Could we go for Kane? Glenn Jacobs. Sorry. I suppose that's depending on if he's in the Hall of Fame and actually retired yet, because he's still obviously keep going. But I don't know. I think that's a question for another time. We've gone off topic. So yeah, in-ring ability versus their character. Someone else as well who started to prove himself a bit more with his in-ring ability, but has so much character, and that is The Miz.
You're reading my mind, honestly. Before we record this, I made some notes. A few people, list of wrestlers, what I prefer, what's their advantages, disadvantages, so on and so forth. And so far, the last 3 or 4 names you've reeled off have been the next name on my list that I'm going to go to.
Great minds think alike.
But yeah.
So, what is your preference?
Character.
The
Miz has so much character.
True, and it kind of comes to this discussion with, when people say that they'd like people from the Indies or from New Japan, Ring of Honor, and places like that to come to the WWE. And it's like, right, yes, you could have Naito and Okada come to WWE, but they wouldn't go to NXT. They're way too big for NXT.
Yeah.
And would they suit the main roster? Because, first of all, the casual fans wouldn't understand who they are because they only watch WWE, they don't watch any others. And also as well is their character wouldn't be able to shine through, because I don't know how much English they speak, but going based off Shinsuke Nakamura and Asuka, you'd end up having too much talent that can't really speak to the crowd or do funny things backstage and have actual character development.
Yeah, you could see someone like Omega coming in and doing well though, just with his character.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, but whether that'll ever happen is a different story.
It's a time old debate that I think everyone has had.
But there's someone who has come in. You know, he's the UK champion, Pete Dunne. Now,
Yes.
this is something I've really wanted to discuss with you because
Go for it.
you're an English young lad. You know, I think maybe you're a year or two older than me.
22.
Oh, so we're the same age. um, but Pete Dunne, in ring, he is incredible, and everyone seems to love his character. But I cannot get behind his character. I cannot get behind it. There's something about the way he speaks that just seems so forced. The way he pronounces words just seems so forced, and
The Brummy accent.
yeah, not even that. It's just like he's you know, if me and you were just having a sort of off the record conversation, you'd use your slang words because that's how it is in England. You know, people our age don't speak, you know, as they should, and you can tell he's sort of having to force words into his vocabulary to try and get a promo across, and also his constant gurn. He just he walks around with a constant gurn, and I just can't help but just think of idiots in a nightclub. You know,
off their nut.
Yeah.
I will agree and disagree with you on that. I can see where you're coming from the standpoint of that he doesn't talk like he should. But I believe that's kind of a WWE thing. I think that's because his progress stuff that he did with the rest of British Strong Style, so Tyler Bate and I can't remember Trent Seven, was great when they were at Progress, but obviously now going over there, it seems like even when Tyler Bate does interviews now, he doesn't seem as confident, and it just seems like a very WWE style. So I will agree with you on that, but I'm very much behind Pete Dunne. I think he knows how to tell a story in the ring, so that's his in-ring ability, but it's also his character. So this is where, but apparently, so kind of a side comment, apparently we are getting more to do with the UK division at the end of this year, and I'm kind of hoping, like at the last NXT takeover, on the pre-show where he spoke about that he wants to take on people like Brock Lesnar, and that really further develops his character, and I just kind of hope that they start letting him on the mic more, because it seems like down in NXT he'll have a match, they'll interview him backstage, and he'll literally say like a couple of words and walk off, and it's just kind of like I mean, okay, if his character's meant to be he's a dickhead, that's fine. But let him say a bit more, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they need to give him more free reign on the mic. The thing is, you know, you said the way he speaks is very WWE sort of orientated. I feel like Marty Scurll's starting to turn into that kind of person as well, where he's sort of forcing words into his vocabulary. Don't get me wrong, the villain character is brilliant, and I love it, and I love his in-ring ability, but just having to listen to him speak just pisses me off.
Yeah, I do feel like, especially, I don't know whether it's because we're used to the American accent, whether it's New Japan, Ring of Honor, WWE, but it seems like whenever we hear a British voice, so whether that's Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, Marty Scurll, or anyone like that, it seems as though their accent is like times by like quite a few. Like it seems a bit OTT. If you
the only person I think that doesn't fall into that bracket is William Regal. But that's because we're so used to hearing William Regal's voice on WWE television, I feel. But even with Wade Barrett, you know, when he was in the WWE, it didn't ever get that bad for me.
No, I think sometimes I think when he started to do a bit of King Barrett, I think he did. Yeah. But I think that was the same as when Booker T became King Booker. He started putting on an accent a bit more, even though he's clearly American. Any final words on yours before I ask you my question?
I just want to mention about what you said about the WWE UK scene picking up. We're both from Kent, and there's a lot of rumours, and I've heard it from a couple of sources, that the first WWE UK show, when it does finally make the move over and become a regular occurring thing, is going to be in Kent. Not sure where, but where do you think that could be if you were to pick a venue in Kent?
God, I can't even think now. I'm trying to think. Margate Winter Garden's really a bit too small.
You know,
It wouldn't be able to do it at a football stadium.
no,
A bit too big.
I've been to a wrestling show at the Lees Cliff Hall before, and that was a bit small. But my sort of thoughts is maybe, you know, the people who are, you know, relaying this information, they might have got it a little bit wrong, and it could be Crystal Palace Sports Centre where Ring of Honour are doing Honour United. Because that's a good venue, and you know, it does sort of fall onto the border of Kent pretty much, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of that Kent, London type side to it. I reckon that'd be quite interesting to have it there.
Yeah, I'd love to see it over here. I really cannot wait. It's what we've been waiting for. And just give us a pay-per-view, please, WWE.
Yeah, please. Even if it's not a big four, I'm fine with like a Backlash or anything like that. You know, or a No Mercy or a Clash of Champions, whatever. Even ones that aren't even a big non-big four pay-per-view.
Yeah, this is we won't touch on it because you're going to make me rant in a minute when we start talking about pay-per-views.
Right,
There's something we'll come back to another time.
Let's get into my question. I only spent a couple of minutes on this because we end up going off topic quite a bit so far. And this is one I'm going to ask all of my guests, and that is, are we in a grey area of superstars? Most are not heels and most are not faces.
Yes. You know, it's the reality era now, and almost seems like baby faces and heels no longer exist or no longer come across in the way that they're intended. I'll just reel off a couple of examples. The Miz.
Yeah.
You know, the way he cuts a promo and what we've seen on social media, the way he attacks people like Corbin and Daniel Bryan on Talking Smack. That's a heel promo. But everyone loves him for it, and he's treated like a babyface. Roman Reigns, you know, a lot of people love him. You know, WWE want him to be the top babyface, but because he's being forced, as some people claim, he's coming across as a heel. Cena's been through it as well. Two more I want to mention. Braun Strowman. You know, if you tipped a lorry over and done all the things he has done to someone, you'd be a heel back in the day. But he's a babyface for it. And also Elias. You know, cutting promos on towns like he does in his songs, talking to people the way he does, and that heel character work. But again, coming across like a babyface.
Yeah.
So
I think that's very much a main roster thing as well, because I feel like in NXT, you know, Tommaso Ciampa, he's very much heel. He's very much treated as a heel. He does heel things. Everybody boos him, except there's a few fucking. This pisses me off. Sorry, I've got to quickly say this. When I watched NXT and he was out in the crowd, and there was always people chanting for him, and I'm just like, you're those guys that just deliberately chant for him just because you fucking want to, and just because you're a mark, and it annoys me so much because I just think, just be like everyone else for once. Stop trying to be different. But anyway, so he's like a major heel, and obviously you've got Andrade Cien Almas, who fantastic in-ring ability, but even the past episode of NXT, you know, the fans were booing him when for what he did. But I think this is mainly a main roster thing, and I don't know whether that could be because of the part-time people who watch the show. But it's the same as apparently Rusev is meant to be a heel. Well, that's I'd never in a million years have said Rusev's a heel. But if you'd said this when he was against John Cena for the United States title, a couple of years ago at WrestleMania, he was being booed. He was treated as a heel because he was the Bulgarian brute. He had Lana with him. He brought out the flag. He did everything that was anti-American.
But it seems like WWE have to go down the route of turning someone into a typical villainous foreigner to get someone over as a heel. I'm going to say something very controversial, and a lot of people who listen to this will absolutely hate me for it, but I absolutely love Jinder Mahal. How great of a heel is Jinder Mahal? No one wants him anywhere near that end of the card. Okay? His in-ring style, where he just picks apart one part of the body. He has the Singh brothers acting as his heel, sort of, you know, his stooges, getting involved in his matches, how he comes over in a match. It's brilliant. It really is brilliant. The way he started attacking, You know, a lot of people, you know, it's 2018, people are offended at anything these days, but the way he started attacking Nakamura and like, verbally, and the way he sort of verbally attacks people is brilliant. It's such good heel work. But in a day like today where heels and faces don't really exist anymore, he's not being appreciated for it. I feel anyway.
I hate the Jinder, but I think if you had done this with the Intercontinental or the US title, I don't think people would have been as pissed off that he had a title reign, and you would have been like, well, we still hate him, but he's not holding the biggest of belts.
Yeah, but that him winning that title has got him more heat. That's
True.
Brilliant heel work. Do you know what I mean? WWE needed a big heel on SmackDown, because if you look at the AJ and Nakamura feud at the moment, who's the heel, who's the face?
See, and this sort of comes back round to my question of, this is where we're living in this grey era, because at the moment, even John Cena, Undertaker, there's not really a heel or a face in that one. Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, okay, fair enough, Brock Lesnar's meant to be the heel, Roman Reigns is meant to be face, but bearing in mind on this past episode of Raw, the fans were chanting one more time at Brock Lesnar beating up Roman Reigns, so, I mean...
Even the IC title, you know, you look at that, they want Miz to be the heel, they want Balor to be the babyface, and Rollins as the tweener, and it's not working like that, and I really, really want to see Balor turn heel.
Yeah,
really do.
Right, let's wrap that up there. We've ended up going way over time, but that's fine. It's a podcast. People can listen to where they want to. Thank you very much for coming on, Ben. Where can people find you elsewhere?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. You can find me on Twitter. My personal account is @BrennanB37, and the Roll Up Report @rollup_report. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me, and hopefully I'll be doing more work with you in the future.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ben, for coming on the show once again. As I said, guys, if you want to go check him out, it's @RollUpReport on Twitter. Great guy, Ben. Me and him have actually got a project coming up very soon. It's something that we didn't discuss on the podcast because I'm recording this sort of after I spoke to Ben. But yeah, we've got some stuff coming up, so either go check out Ben or check out myself to find out more what we're going to be doing together. And yeah, that's pretty much all I'm going to say for this halfway head. Now I'm going to pass you over to our guest number 2. Guest number 2, please reveal yourself.
Hello, I am Tom Colhue, a novelist and journalist for PW Torch, @Colhue on Twitter, that's COLOHUE. Hi Ryan, how are you?
I'm not bad. Thank you very much for coming on. How are you?
I'm good. This is actually my first podcast, so please be gentle with me.
Well, we'll take it easy on you. We'll take it on easy for you for now. Maybe if we start having a bit of a disagreement on something, then it might maybe get a bit rash. But no, it should all be fine. At the end of the day, this is called the DDT Chat, discussion, debate, together. Where no matter what, in the end, we're all friends. We're all just loving wrestling, and we all just want to talk about it. In the end.
Right. Yep, looking forward to it.
Sweet, and so one question that we are asking all of our guests that are coming on, just kind of a get to know you type thing, is your favourite WWE and favourite non-WWE wrestler, and why?
Well, I started watching in the Attitude Era, and I like me a heel, and I like me a bit an underdog. And based on when I was watching, my favourite WWE superstar is Triple H. When I first started watching, he was the background guy to Shawn Michaels. And then even though he was a leader of DX, which was a prominent faction, he was nowhere near the title scene, he wasn't getting the opportunity. I remember watching his ladder match against The Rock and loving it, so Triple H was my guy. I was very happy when he got pushed in the event. Non-WWE, I don't have too much experience with it. I don't watch anything particularly religiously. But just around the corner from me, there is Preston City Wrestling, where they always show some real talent, and one of my favourite matches there was John Morrison against Will Ospreay. So I'm going to go with John Morrison.
Very good.
The love that I have for the performances in WWE, which I've seen since then, And having seen him live, it's definitely the most memorable match in my opinion.
Sweet, so let's get into your topic. What is it that you want to discuss or debate with me?
I wanted to talk about the way that WWE particularly uses and presents star power. Now, the example I wanted to choose, and something which I know is very divisive of my opinions, is regarding Dean Ambrose, and that I think he will never be treated as a top star in the WWE, particularly regards in comparison to Roman, in comparison to Seth. He will never be presented on their level, in my opinion.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that because of any particular reason or because of WWE itself?
Well, there's a lot of reasons. I know a lot of people like to say that Roman will always be presented better because he's Roman. But with
Mm-hmm.
Ambrose, there are particular reasons that he simply doesn't present himself in a way that lends to star power.
Okay.
I want to speak particularly on his use of social media, his time on Total Divas, where he was essentially brought in as supporting character for Renee Young, who unfortunately hasn't lasted herself. But the way
Yeah.
he presents himself, the way he handles interviews, the way he doesn't seem to enjoy going out and opening supermarkets, malls, and so on and so forth. He doesn't seem to have that
Yeah.
aspect about him where he can be presented as a champion. And I think as a
Okay.
result of that, WWE will never treat him in that way, and he'll never get the push that a lot of fans seem to think he deserves. What would be your
Right.
take on this?
Okay. That's very good points. I will say another point to back up what you're saying, and that is Brock Lesnar. Also, when him and Dean Ambrose were meant to have a feud, it is very heavily rumoured that Brock Lesnar just didn't want to have the feud with Dean Ambrose because he didn't respect Dean Ambrose.
Yeah.
And that might also be another thing of how sees him as well. It doesn't see him as a top star, as you said, the Seth Rollins, the Roman Reigns, and it does seem as though unless he is with the rest of the Shield, he won't be pushed to a certain extent.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And in support of that as well, you look at Dean Ambrose, and there's a lot of times he can add a lot to a match. You look at the Elimination Chamber this year, I felt it was missing a Dean Ambrose element, that wild card. And
Yeah.
when you put him in a ring with Brock Lesnar in the no DQ environment, the street fight that he was in at WrestleMania, in that match, it should have been amazing.
I think one of the reasons why Dean Ambrose isn't kind of seen as a top star as well is before he went to NXT and places like this, he did quite a lot of extreme matches on
He
the
did.
indie scenes. He was very well known for doing extreme matches, and there's quite a few pictures of him with a face full of blood on the internet. And I think, especially now that we're in the PG era, we can no longer, they don't like showing color or blood as it's actually called
Yeah.
on TV. Maybe this is, what was that?
That was the fun on my laptop coming on. You're just going to ignore that. My technology is not the greatest. I just want to point that out.
It's fine. I'll just try and talk over it. So yeah, with him also being known as more of an extreme wrestler, I think it's very much WWE doesn't see him as sort of an amazing talent, and he is this talent. This is the thing. It's a good and a bad thing because he's willing to put his body on the line. He's always like jumping through the ropes. He's always willing to jump off things. He looks great whenever he has Extreme Rules matches, which people love. They still love the
Yeah.
Extreme Rules aspect, but at the same time, that's not how WWE is anymore. They don't want the Mick Foleys. They don't want the Extreme Rules Dudleys anymore. They don't want people like that.
Yeah, I follow that as a TLC match against AJ Styles. Probably the best Dean Ambrose match I've seen, personally. The the way he played it, it was just the two of them. It was the main event of the pay-per-view against one of the best in the world, and he not only showed up, he put on an amazing show. And that's why I feel a lot of the fans feel he deserves a lot more than he gets.
Mm.
And I think that's why when I voice this opinion, it tends to annoy people. But in this way, it's the company that's going to prevent him from happening. And in a lot
Yeah.
of ways, he's been missing from Raw, but has he really been missing some storylines all that much? Where would he fit on this WrestleMania card?
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So let me put a question then towards you, and this is more to do with Dean Ambrose as sort of an out of ring competitor. You mentioned how he treats people in the public and the fact that he's second to his own wife, Renee Young, and that is. Do you think Dean Ambrose kind of thinks he's a bit cooler than WWE? It seems as though whenever he is appearing for sort of the interviews and stuff like that, he just seems to carry himself as though, I don't really care about being here, but I'm just going to try and give you funny answers.
I would agree with that. When you talk about the fact that he doesn't seem to present himself in a way that he cares about being there, he doesn't
Mm-hmm.
seem to care at all. And when you say he thinks he's a bit cooler, he seems to be a sort of person who doesn't like the constrictions of being at that level,
Yeah.
where perhaps he would suit better a different company, but he wouldn't get the exposure, he wouldn't get the income, he wouldn't get the friendships that he's made, certainly. He wouldn't have had the same experiences, but he might have had more fun.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe that affects
Yeah.
him, but he just never seems to want to be that public figure. He has to be in WWE.
Yeah. So are we both kind of on agreement that like your original statement, Dean Ambrose is never going to be more than he is. So when he comes back, if he's not with the Shield, are we kind of saying that he's going to be a mid card belt holder if he's going to hold a belt like the Intercontinental, the US?
I would completely agree on that. I think the fact that at last WrestleMania he was on the pre-show, which while
Yeah.
people are annoyed by that, given Ambrose as a person, that might be the right move for him long term. He can elevate people, he can be that mid-card, but I think in a couple of years he'll be looking up the line.
Yeah.
And people of that caliber.
Okay, cool. So I think we're both on the same page as this. If any of our listeners think that Dean Ambrose is going... If any of our listeners think that Dean Ambrose is going to be more than what he is right now, thinks that he can be a main eventer, please let us know why. If you're watching on YouTube, comment down below. If you're on the iTunes podcast app, tweet us at Running Wrestling, and I will share this through to Tom if he hasn't already seen it, and we can all have a discussion online. I'd rather people discuss with us why they think that we're wrong, rather than just coming at us and going, no, Dean Ambrose will be this, he will be that, because you're ugly. And it's just like, okay, chill out.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to get involved in that conversation, in that debate. Just go for it. I'm eager.
Sweet. Let's move on to something that I'm asking all of my guests, and that is, so this is my discussion point for the week, and this is, are we living in a grey area of superstars? So most are not heels, nor are they baby faces.
Oh, I actually really like this question. Absolutely we are, and that goes all across the whole spectrum. I want to mention a few names here. The most obvious one is Roman.
Yep.
He, in my opinion, he has been a heel since the last Royal Rumble.
Yep.
And that's the actual Royal Rumble match, because he was playing face against Kevin Owens, and then he came out as a heel and eliminated The Undertaker. And then he was used to put over Randy Orton, because the entire Rumble was about the three big stars, Lesnar, Goldberg, Penta. And so it would have been disappointing for someone like Orton to win if not for having someone to eliminate. In the same way he was used against Nakamura as a heel, so that people would cheer the eventual winner. He's the most obvious one. But then you can look at Samoa Joe. He employs heel characteristics, but I'm yet to see him choose to win a match.
Yeah.
So while there are certain heel elements to his character, he will come out and just beat you up. There's a lot like that. The Miz is in an interesting thing where he acts as a heel as much as possible, but the second you learn anything about him outside of the ring, he is one of the best things the company has going for them. And people respect that, which makes him hard to do. So I completely agree. We are in quite a grey area at the moment.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail right on the head there. As a conversation that I've just had with Ben, we mentioned quite a few names of sort of people that are living in this grey sort of superstar era. Of that, you've got obviously Rusev, who's meant to be a heel, but he's over. You've got Randy Orton and Bobby Roode, who are just kind of, they're meant to be faces, but they kind of do heel things to each other. You've obviously got The Miz, who is over in some ways. Like, people absolutely love his promos and absolutely love his shows because I think people are enjoying heels more on the main roster.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot more respect
Yeah.
than they used to be for certain superstars. And I've always been a fan. I can respect the heel because they have to work
Yeah.
very hard. Very hard. Like the opening line of Miz TV, the recent Raw, people were throwing their respect at the Miz for being in his hometown, and then he just shut them down instantly. Elias is the same thing for him.
Yeah.
Where we'll rally the whole crowd behind them and then crush them and get that moment of glorious betrayal.
Okay, so you obviously said that you respected heels and stuff like that. So Ben's just spoke about this as well. So our first guest. What's your opinion on one man, Jinder Mahal?
Well, that's an interesting question. It's hard to build a heel anymore.
Yeah.
In the way that if they go by the classic route, it tends to be either cheap, it's repetitive, it's all been done before, it's derivative, it's not original. So they have to find a way to build a heel with monster heat. Recently, the only heels that really built to that level has been Big Cass.
Yeah.
Because of Enzo's popularity before he became unpopular again. And Jinder Mahal, who obtained absolutely monstrous heat because people thought he didn't deserve to be there. There is a blueprint for that.
No.
People don't fight people who don't deserve to be there in their eyes. We've seen it a million times. And it works. I don't think he should have had the title anywhere near as long as he did.
Yeah, agreed.
I think it harmed the product, but I feel that he built into a very effective heel, and is in fact still reaping the benefits of that. Going into the US title match at WrestleMania, a lot of it is based on the fact that Jinder Mahal is the only guy that people want to boot. He's got to carry a lot on his shoulders, and I think he's done extremely well for himself.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
I think he's taken what the company's given him and done very well, apart from a couple of things that the company's given him that I felt did not go well. For example, the ratings and so on.
Yeah, understandable. Sweet. Well, thank you very much for coming on, Tom. If you want to just give where can people find you once again? Share your Twitter, any social media, anything else that you write for or speak about. Here's your chance to talk about it now. Before we move on.
Okay. Quick plug, as it were. My Twitter is @Policy. That's COLOHE. I write the TW Torch. I do the Roman Reigns Omnisphere review, which is essentially just a comedy article on Roman Reigns and how hard he gets pushed. And over WrestleMania weekend, I will be running a prediction contest with a chance to win a VIP package for TW Torch. So the hashtag is PredictMania, or by all means contact me beforehand. Thanks for having me on the show.
Sorry, I didn't catch that last bit, Tom.
Thanks for having me on your show. It's been fun.
I've lost you a little bit. I just can't hear that end bit.
Okay, I was just saying thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, okay. That's all right. I'll carry on from there. Sorry. Yeah, I just couldn't hear it. No, thank you very much, Tom. If you do want to check Tom out, he will be in the description down below. As I said, whether you're listening to on iTunes or YouTube, I'll put his Twitter down below, and it will also be featured on our Twitter when the podcast comes out. It's @RunInWrestling. Thank you very much once again, Tom, and happy Rusev Day to you.
And a happy Rusev Day to you. Thank you.
And then thank you once again, Tom Collihew. You can again follow him. I'm going to leave his and Ben's social media in the description. So if you want to go check those guys out, they always get involved with Twitter commentary, whether they're talking to people, whether they're discussing with people, and they're just overall great guys. Sorry about the sound quality from Tom, but it's just one of those things that happens. Hopefully we're going to do one more of these after WrestleMania, and hopefully we're going to have our 205 live guy, Dallas, coming on to the show, and we might even have him on before, but stay tuned for that. So that brings us to the end of this week's podcast and brings us to the end of our first episode of DDT Chat. And yeah, let us know what you guys thought. If you're on the socials, let us know. If you're on YouTube, leave us a like, leave us a share. I've just hit my laptop. Leave us a comment. I really want to know people's opinions on what we've said today. Whether you agree with us, whether you disagree with us, whether you just want to rant at us for being wrong, or whether you think we're wrong, because, you know, technically, if someone's wrong, it is your opinion, in a way, kind of, unless it is a scientific fact. Ignore that. But either way, let us know. If you're on the podcast app, making sure that you're leaving us a review, it would go a very long way to help us out here at Running Wrestling, and to help me out, because I'm still trying to grow this, and I'm still not sure where we're going with it as of yet. I don't want to start up a Patreon just as yet, because I don't think we have as many people tuned in to us. But if you guys can share, if you guys can let other people know, then we can start getting more flow to us, and then yeah, we can start building some money. I can put it all back into this. I have a job, so it's not exactly like I need it to support myself, but I could put it back into this. I can start buying camera equipment, I can start buying better audio equipment, I can start going to shows and taking, so the shows will be out of my own money, not the Patreon money, and going to shows and interviewing possibly some indie wrestlers that come here to the UK, even some of the IPW shows that we have coming up very soon. So yeah, so make sure you're sharing, make sure you're checking Run In Wrestling everywhere, and yeah, I've been Ryan Beak from Run In Wrestling. Goodbye.